building spirituality, family, health, and business. This is the Giant Builders with Lois Wyant.
Welcome, Giant Builders. We are here today with Lynette Robinson. Hi, Lynette. How are you?
Hi, I'm good. I'm so excited to be here. Thank you so much for having me. This is really fun.
Tell my viewers where you're from.
So I am American, but I live in southern Spain. And so if you found Sevilla on a map and just basically drew a line straight down to the coast, that's basically where I am. So nice, warm and sunny, even here during the winter.
Oh yeah, make us all jealous. That's really nice way to start.
I know. We were just talking about how you were like, we have all the snow, and I complain about 40 degrees. So I'm going to stop doing that.
Well, tell our viewers what you actually do.
Yes. So my name is Lynette, and I am a business coach and consultant. And so one of the things that I specialize in is helping people go from light bulb moment to launched in half the time. I love doing this work because it is so exciting to see people step into their purpose and really starting to make an impact on the world. And what I love is that my particular skill set, and I know we're going to jump into this and get all into the nitty gritty, but I really am able to help anyone regardless of what stage of business that they're in. I've had experience helping brand new entrepreneurs launch for the very first time. I've worked with entrepreneurs who have been in business years and years and years, getting them to the next level. And it's just so fun and so powerful to empower people to step into where it is that they really want to go. And so that's part of what I do.
Well, that sounds really exciting. I'm really excited to find out how you do this. So what is the process?
Yeah, so I have something called the light bulb to launch method, very simple title. And inside of this program, I help people essentially take like their good idea, and whether it's, already in the market and kind of performing, doing things, or it's like, oh, I just had like a cool idea. I think it could help a lot of people. So regardless of where you are on that kind of sliding scale of starting point, I help you take that good idea and make it great, get it into the marketplace, start making impact so you can start making money. And one of the things that I do is I draw on all my years of experience of my own as an entrepreneur, but I also worked for many years with a international franchising company. And inside of that franchising company, I had many roles, but my role essentially was to do new product development and franchisee support. So what that means is that I was the person or one of the people that was coming up with new ideas for products, doing market research, testing, refining, and then packaging it in a way so that our franchisees could take it and launch it really quickly so that they can start increasing a revenue stream, or if they're launching for the first time, they can be launching. And so inside of that, I just learned so many things that helped our entrepreneurs, our franchisees really go from just really take action quickly. And so I use all of that and package it into this amazing program that really helps people kind of cut away from the fluff and the stuff and get down to the actions that are going to really help them move forward. Because sometimes in entrepreneurial journeys, and maybe you've had this experience or other people have, it's like there's so many good ideas or there's like so much to do that it can be really overwhelming, and you're like, freaking out. And so I help you systematize and strategize with the most important things first, and then prioritize from there. And it really helps people because you'd be amazed how much doesn't actually need to be done first to get your product or service into the hands of people. I think oftentimes we spend a lot of time like trying to make everything like totally perfect, instead of taking inspired, imperfect action that then a lot like gets us into momentum so that we can be moving forward. And man, isn't it true that adjusting something that's in motion is way easier than trying to turn something, like turn a ship that's not even in motion. So that's one of my philosophies, is like, take inspired imperfect action. It's going to make a big difference.
Oh, I love that vision of the rotation. That's a really, really great mental view of life. And
Yeah,
I had those every days too. So I understand what you're saying, just being overwhelmed by all of
yeah,
those things.
it's so normal. It's so normal to feel like, oh my gosh, especially if you are just starting out, because oftentimes if you're just starting out, you're a solopreneur, or maybe you just have like you and your business partner, there's a lot to be done. And there's so many people out there and so much, and it's amazing. Like we have this abundance of resources, which is a really good thing, but sometimes it can almost like be too much, and you don't really always like know where to start. And it's like, okay, well, do I need to be on LinkedIn or Facebook or this or that? It's like, and so I really help people get very clear on what their offer is, or like what they're trying to get into the hands of people, because that makes a big difference. If you know what it is that your people want, that's going to help you get really clear on where to talk to them about it, how to talk to them about it, when to talk to them about it, so that you are going to get in front of the audience that you want to buy your product or service, instead of like shouting into the wind, like, everybody, and then being confused why nobody's buying your stuff.
What do you think holds people back from creating their business or their life that they want? What's the blockage?
Oh man, such a good question. I think there are so many things, but in my experience with working with, I think at this point, hundreds of entrepreneurs at every stage of their journey, is it's one of two things. I think it's either kind of like fear of doing it wrong, which can be some iteration of fear of failure and or fear of success, but like you're just like afraid of like not getting it right. And I think the problem with that is that it's not real. Like that's not real. Like those feelings are real. Like that experience of being like, oh my gosh, I'm freaking out, is totally real and so valid. And there are tools that I teach my clients to help kind of like release some of that anxiety and that like mental chatter. But also from a strategic standpoint, understanding, like really strategically understanding that the only person who really knows precisely how it's supposed to be is you. And so when you can bring your product or service into market at the very best level that you can without it being like totally perfect, nobody knows other than you that like, oh, I maybe wanted to like add this one extra feature or this other thing. But what it does, by just taking some action and kind of getting over that hump of like, oh, what it helps you do is really see what's happening in your marketplace. And what's powerful about this is that when you can see how people are interacting with whatever product or service it is that you're giving, you can be making tweaks on the back end. So you can be making adjustments on the back end so you can continue to make it greater. But you can't do that without actually launching, without actually taking the action. And I do think that one of the other pieces, and we talked a little bit about this already, that can really hold people back is overwhelm. Like really just like not knowing where to start, or starting and just feeling like you're piled under all this work. I always kind of joke that I feel like I'm on a personal mission to eradicate hustle culture. I think there's nothing wrong with working hard. I'm into that. Like I love like working hard but there's a difference between working hard and hustling and feeling like you got to do everything all the time, work 1,000,000 hours a day in order to be successful. I think that's a lie. I think that we have been kind of hypnotized in our culture to believe that if we're like working like crazy and just striving and hustling, that's the sign of a good entrepreneur. Like that's the sign of a good business person. And so many times like our the other areas of our life really suffer. And I know part of what I love about your podcast is you talk about these 4 pillars, and it's not just about one thing. Like, we as humans are not just like one dimensional creatures. We're this amazing, multifaceted creature that has needs across all areas of our life. And if we were just hustling all the time inside of our business or inside of our career, it depletes us to be able to show up inside of those other areas of our life that really matter and really make us who we are. And so I think that helping people not only with mindset, but with strategies to overcome overwhelm is really important. And one of the things that I'm really great at and I love doing, because when you see that kind of turning of the key and that getting unlocked from that, it's so powerful. And seeing the success that people have when they can blast through that sense of like, I need to feel overwhelmed in order to be successful. But yeah.
So how much difference is it between like an e-commerce business and a brick and mortar type of business or a service business? How much difference is
Oh
there?
man. Yes, such a good question. So my experience in franchising was with brick and mortar. And with brick and mortar businesses, there are a lot of assets. Like, there are things that are really good about having brick and mortar. I mean, there's a physical place you can go where someone knows, like, oh, if I want, Betty's Donuts, I go to Betty's Donuts on the corner of X, Y, and Z street. And that can be an asset because you can get foot traffic, and there's lots of strategic things that can be helpful about that. The downside of having a brick and mortar is having a brick and mortar. You have lots of overhead and things that can be kind of holding you back in terms of creating larger profit margins. And so brick and mortar has its benefits, and I think I'll always have a little bit of soft spot in my heart for that. But I primarily work with people in e-commerce and in service-based businesses. And part of why I have made that shift is my own life. Like, I'm American, but I live in southern Spain. And so it's really, most of my job and my work is done through the magic of the internet. I'm so grateful for that. And I think especially now in the day and age that we live in, I'll just put it like that, in the day and age that we live in, we have begun to see that there is a lot of value in these virtual spaces. And there are a lot of ways that we can connect in a really genuine way over these virtual platforms. And for me, from a business perspective, I really love working with e-com and service-based businesses because you don't have some of the overhead of brick and mortar. The margins can be a lot higher. So, and you can go a lot faster. And like I said, I have a soft spot in my heart for brick and mortar. I owned a brick and mortar business, and it was awesome, but it takes a lot of time if you need to build out a space. And if you already have all that, there are definitely strategies that you can borrow from e-com and service-based businesses inside of your brick and mortar that will revolutionize things in a massive way. It's so cool. But you just have to be aware of what the benefits are, inside of e-com. You do have to either yourself have some technical savvy or have hired someone who has some technical savvy. So I think, of course, like anything, there are pluses and minuses, but I think with the work that I do, my most successful clients currently are working inside of e-com or service-based businesses. But it's interesting because so much of what I've pulled from is all brick and mortar, and then some transitional like spaces that had like brick and mortar and e-com, if that makes sense.
Oh yeah. I'm sure there are a lot of those taking place over the past 2 years too. So.
Oh yes, absolutely. So many people have had to figure out how to pivot and figure out how to take their brick and mortar online and then back to brick and mortar and then back online and then do both. And what I think is really cool about this, and you'll know this from our conversation, but I'm very optimistic and I like to see things as glass half full. But I think the powerful thing that has happened in the last 2 years is that it's been really hard for a lot of people. I'm not detracting from that at all, but I've also seen so many, oh my gosh, so many amazing people just figure out how to pivot in the most dynamic ways, just figuring out like, okay, well, my brick and mortar business is shut down. Now what? And they pivot and they get creative and they tap into new resources and new technology that has expanded their business and expanded their reach and their impact. And that's the power of our mind when we really tap into what's possible, realizing that anything's possible when you decide.
Walk me through, what would a first meeting with you look like?
Yeah, such a good question. So if you were to enroll in my program, one of the things that we always do is I like to do a face-to-face Zoom. I really believe that high touch, lots of connection is really important, because I was just chatting with someone just a little bit ago, like I really believe we are people created for community. We need those connections, and that face-to-face, even if it's not physical, but those face-to-face interactions to help us feel connected. And I think that really those connections help us unlock deeper levels of our potential. So I always start off with something that's one-on-one, so we can talk about, okay, what are your goals? Like first of all, like what are your big goals? What's happening right now? What are you struggling with? And what's cool is that in the midst of those conversations, sometimes what's being said, but here, and what's being said here, and for those of you who are listening, I'm pointing to like my face and my body and showing like, oh, like there's so much that is happening when someone's talking about their business, that from all my years of experience and my own experience inside of my own businesses, I can tell like, okay, they're saying this and they mean that, but they're also probably talking about this. And so that allows me to ask some questions that can kind of open up new avenues of thought, new avenues of opportunity to get people to the goals that they want. And I think for me, that's how I see that my roles. Like I am very much a facilitator. That's why I like the term coach. Of course, I do tons of consulting. I'm going to give my clients bajillions of like so many great strategies, laser focus. It's going to be amazing. But one of my most important roles is coaching and really helping draw the gold out of people so that they can tap into their best, highest version of themselves. And oftentimes we need that. We need someone sitting across from us saying, cool, like, I love that. Tell me more. And like, getting you to draw out all the way down to what's really going on, what is really holding you back, what really feels scary, like what really is the limit, whether it's mental, physical, emotional, financial, what's really there, and help you create a strategy around that that's going to unlock the next level.
Is it always a good time to become an entrepreneur, or do you think there are certain economical times to become one?
Oh my gosh, Lois, this is such a good question. Holy smokes, such a good question. And here's why. Because I think oftentimes we want to believe that there's a perfect time to do XYZ thing. Now, I will say, if you're in brick and mortar, there are going to be some actual limitations, perhaps, based on what's going on in your region, your thing. So I'll just caveat everything else I'm going to say by that. For brick and mortar, maybe. For everything else, literally everything else, I think that the best time to start is now. The best time to begin is now. And here's why. Like when you take action, you put yourself in motion. You put yourself in a position to start creating momentum inside of your business. And while I think you have to acknowledge and like become okay with the fact that just starting might mean that you make some mistakes or that it's not perfect or whatever. But you're also going to be so much further ahead than everyone else who's waiting for the perfect time. And there is a huge advantage to actually like being in the marketplace and being a voice and being a leader. And the only way that you can do that is by taking action. And I know that sometimes like that feels uncomfortable and feels scary because it's like, oh, but like we have supply chain stuff and like there's inflation and there's this and there's that. And it's like, yeah, totally. All real, all challenging, but nothing is insurmountable. Nothing's insurmountable. And if you have an idea and you have a business and you in an idea for a business, or you have a business that you want to grow and scale, you can do that now. I know right now, so many people who in the last 2 years, in the midst of a pandemic, have like 10, 20x their business. I mean, crazy growth, bananas, crazy, blow your mind kind of growth. And it's only because they decided, okay, take action, lean in, be willing to pivot. And those three elements are so powerful. And I feel like no weird world situation can really hold you back when you have that posturing.
No, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
I love that. All right. Well, any closing thoughts?
Yes. Yeah. So of course, like I would love everyone in the whole wide world to be in my program. One, because I just love serving people. I get so excited to be able to, one of my favorite questions is like, how can I serve you? Like, how can I help you? Even if you're like not a client of mine, like I just love asking that. I think it really postures you and positions you to help, and like that posturing of like helping and service puts you in a place to like have like a vibration and energy of abundance and giving. And there's so few things that can trump that. It's amazing. And in the spirit of that, like I love doing a masterclass. I do them about every month, give or take, and it's called the Success Accelerator Live. And inside of the masterclass, I give so much great information on how to refine your offer, get really clear on like your marketing and your messaging so that you can get clients like on repeat. You're not having to like chase them down, like they're coming to you. And it's a really fun time. And what I love about this masterclass is that not only are you going to walk away with actionable things, like things you can do right away, right when you get off of the masterclass, but there's also a huge component. I like to think of myself as like a transformational trainer. Like I want people to walk away from that experience feeling different, where they're like, oh my gosh, I just stepped into a whole new way of thinking, a whole new way of being, and I'm going to take action on the stuff that Lynette just taught us. And so I'm hosting one of those, and I would love to invite all of you to come. You can register for free at successacceleratorlive.com. I also have a VIP option inside of that, and inside of the VIP ticket, it's so great. You get a bonus training before, and you also get a 30-minute strategy session with me. But also this month, I've decided to throw in my mini course called the Laser Focused Productivity Plan. And it is a really powerful mini course that's going to help you get super clear on priorities, laser focused, so you can do more in less time. So that's all inside of the VIP ticket. So I hope that you'll take advantage of that. And so what's great is that if you register, even after, like if you go to the website and like the actual event has already passed, you'll be automatically enrolled in the next event. But if you get the VIP ticket, you automatically get access to all of the content inside of there. So you automatically get access to the mini course and all the other bonuses that are in there, which is great because then you can just be taking action right away on things while you're preparing for the masterclass. I also have a business networking group on Facebook that's of the same name, Success. You can search Facebook/groups/Success Accelerator Live. And inside of there, I give lots of fun mini trainings, really cool business networking and opportunities to promote and network and connect. So those are other places that you can connect inside if there's a lag time between when you register and when the masterclass is.
Oh, great. All right. Well, it
Yeah.
sounds like you are a ball of energy.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, this has been so fun. Thank you so much for having me
Oh,
on. I really appreciate it.
well, I appreciate your time and just your enthusiasm and your knowledge. I think that the giant builders would definitely benefit from going to your masterclass for sure.
Absolutely. I would love to have all of you. Thank you so much. And if you have any questions or if you just want to connect on social media, you can follow me at Lynette Esperanza on both Instagram and Facebook.
All right. Well, thank you so much for your time. And thank you, Giant Builders, for tuning in. Make sure to subscribe so you don't miss an episode. And we'll see you next Tuesday.
Thank you for listening. This has been The Giant Builders with Lois Wyant.